Hello and welcome to the TallTimber tutorial series, video number 3. In this video, we will be working with importing our data into the cruise processor. In the previous videos, we worked with our cruise dataset and made sure that it had the proper format as well as the name range data so that this import process would work. In this video, I will be using the full licensed FDL version and the ACCDE version of that. This doesn't work on some of the older versions of Microsoft Access and Microsoft Windows, but the MDE file is functionally the same and it works on all computers. So, at this point, I will be working with my dataset. I have a couple of different options for import. One is the export file, which is this comma delimited file that comes from the TimberPad Pro software on an Android or iOS Apple device. It's comma delimited. It has 9 columns, each separated by comma, with the label at the top and the data in each line below. This TallTimber knows exactly what to do with, and you can just click import and then change your species codes if you have something other than the defaults there, and it will be able to use those. I'm going to work with an Excel spreadsheet of the same dataset, Deer Pond, and in this, the same way, I have 9 columns and a bunch of rows below those columns, each including all of the information for one tree. I don't have any blanks here unless there's a functional reason for that blank, which we'll talk about in a later video. And I should be able to import this as long as I have a named range data and these 9 columns are correctly named. So because I know this is all correct, and I have the latest version because I've just saved it, I can now go to TallTimber and click Import Data. When I import data, I will navigate to that same dataset. It's my Deer Pond spreadsheet, and click OK. And it should give me a notice that it has been imported correctly. It gives me the location on my computer as well as the name of the file. It will also remind me that some of the input parameters in section 2 in the Step 2, those options will have been reset to default values. That is, unless you have kept the Keep My Codes box checked. You will have to set your basal area factor every time. So we'll click OK and go into the input parameters. So if I have the default TallTimber codes in my dataset, I can just go to selecting the Prism basal area factor or plot size here, Step 1. But because I have my own alphabetic codes, I'm going to change those first in the optional setting number 2. If I click on this, it will bring up a small database that has several columns. It's sorted on the report order, and it has the TallTimber default user codes here, which are numeric. I have 2 character alphabetic codes, and I have a spreadsheet that has those listed. I call it my species codes list. As you can see, I have the same order of species, bald cypress, balsam fir, black spruce, as they are here. And all I need to do is copy these information in this column. So I can hold Control and Shift on my keyboard while pressing the down arrow, and that will select everything within that column. I'm only selecting the codes and not the header. And I can right-click to copy. And when I move over here, I can select the header in this case, and that will select the entire column, and then paste. It should give me a notice that I have pasted 62 records. That's the complete species list, and that is a good thing. I'll click yes. Make sure when you make this change that you paste through the entire species list, because the ones that are relevant for your region may be throughout the list. You can use this same method to change some of the other values, including form class, which is taper, and pounds per cubic foot, which is density, as well as the report order. We'll cover that in a later video. For the time being, these are the alphabetic codes that I've used for my dataset, and I can click return. At this point, I will change my basal area factor by using the step or input option number 1, and change that to a basal area of 10. If I've used a fixed radius plot, I could change that here, and it will use that value instead. I can click return. So at this point, I have my species codes correct, and my basal area factor correct. If I want to make any other changes, I could do that here. We will go over the optional settings in the next two videos, and at this point I will be able to click the Keep My Codes box so that the species codes I had just set will stay consistent each time I open a new dataset. Even with this box checked, I will still have to come back and change setting number 1, the basal area factor or plot size, every time I import a dataset to make sure it's the correct one. So that was video number 3, in which we worked with our imported dataset and changed a few of the settings so TallTimber knows what to look for. In the next couple of videos, we'll be changing some of these other optional settings, and at that point, we will look at the effect of doing so. So that was video number 3, importing our data. Please stay tuned to the TallTimber tutorial series.